The doors slide open, not because the store is eager, but because it's time. There's a verse that says, "To everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven." A year ends not because it failed, but because it was appointed to finish. Year-end clearance event. It sounds loud, big signs and bright colors, everything competing to be seen, but clearance itself is quiet work. Scripture never rushes its endings. It speaks of harvest, of pruning branches that once bore fruit, of shaking dust from sandals so the road ahead is lighter. This isn't judgment. There is, therefore, now no condemnation. This is inventory, a chance to walk through what was, with honesty instead of shame, with mercy instead of math, because the same God who began the year is still here at the doors. Every store has a map, usually overlooked, usually smudged by fingerprints. Scripture calls this wisdom. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Before you decide what stays, you have to know where you are. This isn't a courtroom, it's a walk. You don't have to rush, you don't have to carry everything. Jesus once told Martha, "You are worried and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed." This video is about finding what that one thing was this year and what it wasn't. Overstock looks responsible. Extra shelves, extra supplies, extra readiness. Scripture has a word for this tension. Be careful that the cares of this life do not weigh you down. Some things multiplied quietly. Responsibilities, expectations, roles that you stepped into because you were capable. Not sinful things, just many things. Jesus said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." If the burden became heavy, it wasn't because you failed. It may be because you were carrying what was never assigned to you. Even the good seed, if scattered too thick, chokes itself. Overstock doesn't mean disobedience. It means abundance without boundaries. And Scripture reminds us, all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. What filled the shelves this year that quietly crowded out the rest? Clarity or joy? What can be released without guilt because God is not impressed by exhaustion masquerading as faithfulness? There's always a section that people avoid. Bent corners, cracked expectations, boxes that didn't survive the journey intact. The Bible never hides these shelves. David wrote Psalms from here. Jeremiah wept from here. Even Jesus stood here and said, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow." Scripture doesn't rush pain off the floor. It says, "A bruised reed he will not break." Some plans cracked. Some prayers felt unanswered. Some truths didn't survive. The year unchanged. But damage is not disqualification. We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Faith that has never been tested is still shrink-wrapped. The things that bent this year may now fit your hands better. Not everything needs to return to how it was. Some things are meant to be carried forward with scars intact, proof that they lived. The aisle hums softly. Yellow tags, hidden gems, things that no one rushed towards. Jesus spoke often about small things: a mustard seed, a widow's coin, bread broken quietly. Scripture says, "Do not despise the day of small beginnings." Some of the most important moments this year didn't announce themselves. A word that stayed with you, a habit that gently shifted, a moment of obedience that felt insignificant at the time. God does not need spectacle. He works faithfully in the margins. Clearance doesn't mean cheap, it means overlooked. What did God give you this year that didn't look impressive but changed you anyway? There's a door marked, "Authorized personnel only." Scripture knows this place. Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray. Paul wrote letters from prison cells. This is where faithfulness lives when no one applauds. Your Father, who sees in secret, will reward you. This is where you were tired. This is where you showed up anyway. This is where you learned your limits. Strength, Scripture says, is made perfect in weakness. Some of the holiest work this year was unseen, and it still mattered. Receipts do not exist to shame the buyer. They exist as record. Scripture calls this remembrance. I will remember the deeds of the Lord. This year left marks, not all of them pleasant, not all of them planned, but none of them wasted. You don't keep the receipt to remember the prize. You keep it to remember the exchange that mattered. Grace covered what didn't add up. Closing time. The lights dim, the aisles are quiet. Scripture says, "He who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it." Completion is not erasure. A cleared year isn't forgotten, it's honored. What stays will stay, and what goes, goes with blessing. The doors close gently, not in fear, not in finality, just in trust. Because morning will come right on time.